In this video, I'm going to be breaking down different simple basketball drills that you could run with your team. These could be ran with really young players, but also even older players as well. Some are a lot of fun. So let's get down, let's check these out really quickly. Make sure to go check out all of the practice plans that I have created down in the description below. Some may work great for your team. Okay, so in this first drill, what we're going to have is the coach apparently wearing a referee uniform at the point. We're going to have a line of players down along the corner of the key, as well as a line of offensive players at the baseline and three-point line. These players are going to be sprinting. The first player in line is going to be sprinting up, and same as player 2. At this point in time, what we would like to see is the coach pass the ball to the offensive player. Now, depending on the age, we would actually want to have player 2 red to be trying to intercept that pass or try to play some kind of denied defense so that that pass cannot get to that offensive player. We really want to try and focus on the defensive side of this, but also as soon as that offensive player gets that ball, he's going to go one-on-one with that defensive player. However, there is a spin to this drill, and that is we want that offensive player to only take a few dribbles to the rim. Now, depending on the age, that could be 4 dribbles, it could be 5, or it could be even 2. Personally, I want to see that offensive player with my senior varsity team that I coach take only 1 dribble, a quick fake if needed, and then a dribble, single dribble to the rim. He can pull up for a mid-range shot or get right to the rim, preferably right to the rim. We don't want to see any 1 dribble and a far mid-range shot. I want to try and teach aggressiveness to get to that rim with as few amount of dribbles as possible. With the junior varsity team that I coach, we started with 2 dribbles and then we kind of added or subtracted 1, and again later on tried to get at least just 1 dribble to the rim. That's going to really help advance your offensive player, but also help your defensive players as well. Try to defend in a full-out attack from a player. This next drill will have 2 lines of players. Again, you can have this where the lines are at the elbows, or you can have it where the lines are at the baseline. It's totally up to you. It doesn't really matter. But the first player from each line will then, of course, try to box each other out. And you can even have this oriented where you can have the red team being the one where they are boxing out. You take the shot, and then what we would have is player 3 get that ball, and of course they would try to score. Now you can stack this drill as well, where you can have 2 offensive and 2 defensive players, or 2 boxing out players and 2 other players. And when we do this, when the coach takes that shot in this drill, let's say player 3 gets that rebound, we would then have player 2 sprint out to the free throw line extended on the ball side, so that he can be the outlet player. This is where it really gets fun and interesting, especially for older age groups, because now we would have, after that outlet pass, player 3 sprinting to half court. When that happens, we want player 3 to either touch the half court line or the wall or whatever's there, so that now player 3 can then run whatever he would like. So for example, he could set a screen for player 2 red, where then player 2 uses that screen and player 3 would then potentially be open for the layup. But we really want to cut down what they do on offense to something simplistic like a screen, or maybe even player 3 might be open for a pass where player 2 sets that screen and then roll, whatever it may be, something that is super easy. Maybe a dribble handoff, but we really want to cut down what they do on offense. We want to get this quickly going fast. You could even stack this with 3 players, and now this time the coach takes the shot. Let's say, for example, player 2 gets that ball. We would have 1 red going to the outlet position and player 3 running to half court. And what we would really want to see happen is player 2 pass to player 1 red, and then a quick pass to player 3 red. This is really now trying to change that defensive rebound into that outlet pass and into transition baskets for our team. Now, of course, we're only going to be doing this on a half court, which means that as soon as player 3 gets that ball, he's going to touch half court, and then he's going to turn back around, and potentially we could run a quick set. So for example, if we run a 5-out offense where we run a pass and screen away, we can have player 3 pass to player 2, screen away, player 1 then cuts towards the basket, potentially open for a layup, something that's quick that incorporates our offense. And if you would like, you can check out my complete guide to the 5-out basketball offense down in the description below as well. Now in this third drill, what we're going to be looking at is a drive and kick situation. Especially if you're running a 5-out or even a 4-out offense, this could be very beneficial. We're going to have one defensive player, we're going to have a line of players over here and a line of players near the point. And what we're going to be doing is having player 3 blue, he's going to be attacking the basket and he's going to come to a jump stop. This is important because now he can use either foot as a pivot. When he comes to a jump stop, he's going to kick that ball out, and that defensive player is going to then sprint out and try to defend that 3-point shot. After this happens, player 1 is going to then follow his shot, get that rebound. Player 2 is going to go in the back of this line, and then we're going to have player 3 become the defender up here. Player 1 is then going to get that ball. He's going to pass the ball to the next player in line, and he's going to go in the back of this line. We can even stack this drill with a third line. When that happens, what we're going to have, again, still same idea. We're going to have these 2 players sprinting down. Player 4 blue is going to come to a jump stop and kick that pass out to player 4. Player 3 is then going to follow that pass, and he's going to contest that shot. However, player 4 is going to then kick that ball over as an extra pass, because this is extremely important in game to player 2 blue. He's going to then follow his pass and try to defend the 3-point shot from player 2, who is going to take that shot. Again, same rotations as before. We'll have player 3 go in the back of this line, player 4 in the back of this line. Player 2 is going to then follow his shot and get that rebound and pass it to the next player in line, and then that player who originally drove is now going to be the defender. Player 2 will go in the back of this line. And while that last play or that last drill seems extremely easy, it's teaching a lot. It's teaching how to defend the drive, it's defending how to close out, or it's teaching how to close out on a shooter, and it's also teaching to then receive that ball and then kick it out to an extra pass so that somebody else who may be open, who has a better shot than yourself, can then, of course, have the shot. And then, of course, closing out on that shot again. And it's just overall a lot of movement. It teaches the team how to move, and it's a fantastic drill, and it's really not that hard to run with pretty much any age group. If you've got younger players, you can just move the lines in closer so that it's an easier shot, but that's about it. Another great drill to run, especially for younger players, is for we'll have a line at the baseline, and then we'll have a line at the free throw line. If you wanted to do this with older players, you can move the line back farther, but whatever, it doesn't really matter, really. But at the younger age groups, you really want to focus on closer shots so that they can get their form down. And what we'll have is the first player in line, he's going to pass that ball out to player 2, and he's going to then close out on that shot. When player 2 receives that ball, we want him to then take that shot. We also want him to follow his shot. We also want player 4 to box out player 2. And you can kind of play a little bit of a game here. After player 2 takes that shot, what we can have happen is that player 4 blue can then box out that player 2, who then essentially we could have some rules set up where, let's say after he takes that shot, he needs to get that rebound before that ball bounces 4 times. If he can get that ball before it bounces 4 times, then the player who was boxing out was not boxing out properly. If he can get that ball within a couple of bounces, then he was able to either get past that player who was boxing out and he was able to follow his shot perfectly, or we can really then basically just teach the players how to be better. So for one, try to get to that ball better, or how to box out better. This is not just a drill that can teach players how to shoot under pressure, how to box out, how to follow their shot, but we can also see what our team is able to do and be able to improve them that way by using this drill. In this next drill, we're going to have about 6 players. Now, you could technically run this with 3 players as well, and that would be a stack that we could run. However, at first, I like to run it with 2 players as a defender anyways. So what we're going to have is these 4 players in the box. They're going to be passing this ball around to each other. Meanwhile, let's say, for example, player 2, he was on defending player 3. Player 1 needs to be in the middle, trying to figure out, maybe defensive shuffling back and forth, trying to figure out where player 3 is going to pass that ball to. A no-no would be a pass to player 2. Player 1 blue better intercept that if that was to happen. If, for example, the ball goes over to player 4, player 1 is now man on, and player 2 now needs to defend that area, trying to figure out where player 4 is maybe about to pass that ball. Now, the whole main goal here is to see if we can get these players on the offensive side to pass that ball for 30 seconds, and if these 2 defenders can intercept that ball within 30 seconds. And that's kind of the time limit. We can actually do this with a whole team, half the team on one side of the court, the other half the team on one side of the court, and we can split it up. It's easy 6 and 6 if you have 12 players. Now, when we're running this drill, we can time and count down for 6 seconds. If we at that point, for 30 seconds, and if we at that point, after 30 seconds, have no defensive players who have intercepted that ball, we can then blow the whistle or say go, attack, attack, and say basically the red team now needs to clear the ball. So for example, let's say we've gone through 30 seconds. We blow the whistle or we say attack and go. Player 3 pops out. Player 4 then kicks that ball out to the 3-point line, and we will then have a 4-on-2 situation where we will run up to only 1 shot. Who can get the best shot? And we can have player 4 maybe attack across the key. We can actually teach off-ball movement, reading the defense. So for example, here we could have, and we're not going to explain this to our players at first, we just want to have our players move off ball, and if they're not doing what we want, then we can actually explain this to them. But for example, we could have player 4 attack to the high post, player 3 could then, of course, pass to player 4, and then because that drew player 1 up out of the key, we could have player 2 cut back door for that high to low post pass. Again, just reading the defense and trying to get open. Now that last stack is a bit harder, but at the same time, it's a lot of fun to run with pretty much any age group. I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. I hope that these drills help you. Make sure to go check out my practice plans down in the description below, as well as my 5-out complete guide. I hope that you've enjoyed. I'll see you guys in my next video.